There are far too many people who will look at something and instantly dismiss it as impossible because it's far too complicated, far too technical, or at least they think it is. There are far too many people who have their goals and dreams, but they give up on them because they're supposedly impossible. Unfortunately, it can be all too easy to limit your vision and to underestimate your potential, especially if you're listening to the admittedly, hopefully, well-meant advice of totally clueless and unambitious people. Here's a thought for you. Let's say that you're able to travel back in time, and using your powers, you go back 1,000 years. How would you explain the world that we live in today to those who lived a millennia ago? How would you explain all the wonders in science that we use without a thought? Now, assuming that they didn't try to burn you at the stake, how would you tell them about aircraft, astronauts, televisions, the internet, the horseless carriage and modern medicine? They'd probably think you're mad, because such things would be impossible for them to comprehend. I forget the exact date. I think that it was around the turn of the first millennium when a monk did something that was considered to be truly astounding. And what was that wondrous thing, I hear you cry? Well, it's simple. He read without speaking the words aloud. Doesn't seem a lot to us, does it? But back then it was seen as something incredible. Jules Verne wrote about travel to the moon and from the Earth to the moon. It was written in 1865, and in 1969 we had the first lunar landing. Star Trek has premiered more than a few devices, works of fiction that have since been made reality. For example, do you remember those handy communication devices that the crew would use? Tell me, do you have a mobile phone? Just because something appears to be impossible, it doesn't mean that it is. Look at all the incredible advances that science has made over the last 70 years or so. If that was achieved in a few short decades, what will be achieved in the next century, or even the next 1,000 years, assuming we've still a planet then? Who are you to say what is possible and what is not? There would have been a time when establishing a colony on the moon or on Mars would have been the stuff of fiction, and now it's being planned. It doesn't really matter what your dream is. You will never know if it's possible or not until you actually try. When some people look at something and say, oh, it's impossible, what they actually mean is it's far too complicated and far too difficult to pursue, so there's no point. They give in. They turn their backs on something that they might have achieved, if only they were willing to put the effort in. When you look at something and say, that's impossible, is it based on fact, or is it just a snap judgment? How do you know that something is impossible? If you're faced with the seemingly impossible, do you walk away, or do you examine the situation? If you have a task or a goal to achieve, do you break it down into its constituent, individually achievable parts? Or do you look at the whole picture and get scared off by the immensity of your task? If you want to achieve your full potential, it's going to take some work on your part. If you want to achieve success in your life, then it will take hard work and self-belief from yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you can and will achieve, and you have to take action to achieve that success. You will never know what's possible or what's impossible until you actually try. If you find that something doesn't work, or is in fact actually impossible, then find something that works and is possible. All successful people have had their problems and failures. They never said that this was impossible. They said if it doesn't work, try this way. A classic example of that mentality is Thomas Edison and the light bulb. The light bulb today is nothing special, and I would imagine that most people will only think about it if they have to change one. Back in Edison's day, a light bulb was something special. Calling forth light from the dark, the click of a switch was revolutionary. He never said that it was impossible. Believe in yourself, your talents and capabilities. Don't walk away at the first hurdle. Don't let yourself be talked out of your dreams. Try. You never know what you're capable of until you actually try. So, my friend, until the next time, keep living.